Before we begin, I'd like to let you know that Angry Mobs provided a copy of Brawlout on the Switch for this review. Brawlout is a party fighting game made by Angry Mobs Studio. The game was formally released April 2017. Now, the game is launching on the Nintendo Switch in hopes of providing a Smash-like experience for players while we wait for the next installment. The game is about $20 as an eShop download. So, is Brawl the Brawl to end them all? Or is it just another lame clone? This is PushDustIn from Source Gaming, and let's get started with this review. As many fans of Source Gaming are probably aware, when Sakurai was originally planning Smash 64, he felt that he needed to use characters that already existed in order to lure players into a console fighting game. With the help of Iwata, Sakurai was able to receive permission to use Nintendo characters, and the rest is, well, history. Brawl, much like Rivals of Aether, features completely unique characters and builds their own lore and world. While both games have guest characters, the focus is on completely original characters with their own history. At the same time, Brawlout is a fighting game, and thus story isn't really that important. Nonetheless, Brawlout finds a balance. There is an arcade mode where players can fight 8 to 12 battles and are rewarded with a short end-in sequence. What's more is that in the Brawler menu option, there is lore for all the characters, which details their backstories and history. My main issue with the story in Brawl is that it's pretty confusing. Unlockable characters are sometimes alternative versions of that base character, or possible future versions of them. Before the fights in arcade mode, there is a quick back and forth between the characters, but it usually equates to, well, I guess I have to beat you up now. All in all, the story in Brawl is a mixed bag. It's there for those who want it, but it's really not that good. What's worse is that the clone characters will appear to have the same ending as their original counterparts. This really confused me when I completed the game with one of them. Brawlout does away with shielding and grabbing in order to focus on the fast-paced action. This means it's always better to be attacking or moving into a position where you can attack. By either receiving damage or by dealing it, players will build up their rage meter, which can be used to stop combos, or enter rage mode, which gives them extra strength. The game also features a lot of advanced techniques that Smash players will be familiar with. Meteor smashes, breakfall, directional influence, and even wave dashing are all present in Brawlout. The game has the same exact button layout as Smash, which means that it's very easy to learn and master. GameCube controllers can also be used by using the GameCube adapter on the Switch as well. There are some differences though. Fighters in Brawlout are not limited to the 4 specials. Some fighters will have additional specials which can only be used in the air or after a jab combo. The game's base characters and the 2 guest characters all feel very unique from each other. Some are better for rushing and slashing, while others are great for trapping your opponents. In my opinion, the Drifter is the most beginner-friendly character as he plays a bit like Marth and the other sword characters in Smash. Brawl features for the most part neutral stages. There are 12 stages in total and have varying platform sizes and layouts. There are a couple of stages with gimmicks, but nothing that is really overbearing as Brawlout's focus is clearly the fighting. Unlike Smash, there are no items nor gimmicky stages, so I'm not really sure how much appeal Brawlout would have to some of Smash's more casual fans. The game doesn't feature a whole lot of modes or options. There aren't even options that I would expect for competitive players such as stage striking or turn off certain stages from random. I'm also surprised that there's no option to pair controllers within the game itself. Players will need to do it through the Switch's home menu if they would like to use different controllers. This could be quite bothersome in a tournament setup. These are just some of the small adjustments that Angry Mob could do to make the game feel more complete. The game does feature a lot of unlockables in the form of piñatas. When open, a piñata will give players a random unlock from the list depending on the piñata. There are piñatas which can unlock fighters, skins, and other cosmetic items. Brawlout feels like it could easily add more and more unlockables in future updates. One thing that really surprised me is that when starting out in Brawlout, players can't taunt at all. There are just no defaults. They will have to be unlocked through the piñatas. This was a little bit annoying for me personally as I didn't unlock a taunt for a while even after opening several piñatas. In the end, your experience with these random unlocks will vary. When I first started playing Brawlout, I thought it was quite novel that there was no blocking or grabs. However, as I played the game longer, I felt like it was actually quite a real disservice. Attacks, grabs, and blocks act like the rock, paper, scissors in fighting games. By removing the blocking and grabs, there's only the rock mode left, which makes the fighting feel very shallow. Furthermore, characters who have a long range like the Drifter will probably tend to be high tier, as they can effectively keep their opponents at bay quite easily. Hopefully, Angry Mobs can find a way to balance the game around this. For the most part, the game runs well enough. But I've played Brawlout for almost 10 hours and I've ran into several hiccups. The game will tend to randomly lag at some points. I noticed it occurring a lot more when I was using the KO water effect, but it's still pretty unacceptable for a fighting game. What's worse is the loading time. Brawl can take up to 40 seconds to load a single fight. That means when grinding for unlocks, a lot of your time will be spent just on waiting for the game to load. The load screen is incredibly boring. It's just an image of the stage. Some simple text about the game's lore or even generic tips would really help spruce things up. What's worse is that the game has crashed on me once while playing. Overall, Brawl doesn't feel optimized for the Switch. I have mixed feelings about the unlock system in Brawl. I like it that it encourages players to use a wide range of characters by tying a level up system to each individual characters. At the same time, it simply takes way too long to level up a single character. In my experience, I averaged 300 to 400 XP per battle, with 660 or so XP being the most I've gotten. To level up a single character to level 5, which is when stages will unlock, players will need to do 30 to 50 fights. That means that unlocking all the stages in the game can take players over 500 fights. In addition, crystals, which can be used to unlock the game's secret characters, are a little bit hard to come by. The game's unlockable characters are all just clones of the main characters in the game. I felt a little bit disappointed when I realized that. To be fair, this may be a limitation of the lack of online play, and may be fixed when the game is in more people's hands. It seems that Angry Mob is still adjusting when things are unlocked, as I found text for stages on one screen that states that they would be unlocked at level 10 instead of level 5, which they currently do. So I guess that's another error that I discovered. Also, why is Paco the only character with red eyes after he's defeated? The rest of the characters have black, crossed out eyes. He's also the only non-guest character to not have a clone as far as I'm aware, which makes me suspect that he'll get one in a future update. The UI in general was another mixed bag for me. I severely dislike the character select screen, as it's not very well laid out and doesn't feel intuitive. What's worse is that in my case, I unlocked the Drifter stage first. Since I didn't have any stages unlocked adjacent to it, I couldn't actually select it. It's a small issue in the grand scheme of things, but it's representative of my overall feelings towards Brawlout. There's definitely both good and bad here. Brawlout feels like missed potential. It has a really good foundation, but it requires a lot more polish before it can fully compete with Rivals of Aether or even Smash itself. Since the game is so online focused, I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of the issues I have with Brawlout are fixed in the future. Until then, I can only recommend this to players who are serious about platform fighters and want to try a Smash-like experience on the Nintendo Switch. But if you enjoy Smash casually, I would suggest waiting. Hopefully Angry Mob Studios can fix some of these issues in a future update. I give Brawlout a 3.0 out of 5. I'll be sure to update my post on Source Gaming with my impressions of online play once the game launches on the 18th. So if you're watching this, please check out the description on YouTube for a link to the full article. Thank you for listening to this review. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and remember to subscribe to see more content straight from the source. Also, please check out the description for all of our social media links. This is PushDustIn from Source Gaming signing off.